Good morning. Right, I'm going to give you a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of various lightning phenomena and various lightning things. We need to switch to my laptop. Yeah. And we are starting off at the Royal Society. We're all here at the moment in the basement of this building. And I just want to kind of first of all explain what lightning is. So a few years ago, I was in a town or a small city in Poland called Tczew in the middle of the night near this playground. It was about 1 a.m. I was quite tired and I was trying to find some lightning. I was under a little wooden kind of structure. You might be able to hear the thunder here. Because I am a lightning scientist, I do try and find it in real life, and you'll probably try to see some lightning in a minute. Oh, there's some thunder as well. And we've all seen this, especially last week. There was quite a lot of lightning last week. And it looks like this when we slow it down. And we've all seen these kind of lightning strikes out in the distance. This was a storm that was a few miles away. And the kind of important things that you need to know about lightning, some kind of interesting facts about these is we measure it in different ways, and the first one is voltage, and voltage is really just how far it travels. We measure the current, and the current is the energy in the lightning, and then we have the time, how fast it is, and we also measure things like temperature. And I can give you some numbers for these just to give you an idea of what your average lightning strike is like. So we're at about 100 million volts, which if you compare to your domestic supply of about 230 volts is quite high. The domestic supply normally have about 13 amps, and that's enough to kind of give you quite a nasty shock. But lightning is at around about 30,000 amps. That's where all the energy is, and that's what causes all the destruction. The time, it's about 100 microseconds. It's all over very fast, the initial shock. The temperature is 30,000 degrees Celsius, about 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun in that arc. And there is a lot of lightning going on. There's a lot of lightning going on all the time on planet Earth. And you can track this live. In fact, we're tracking it live upstairs. But I just wanted to, and anyone can track this live. I have to get out of here. And there is a website upstairs. We're doing it through a website called Blitz or Tongue, but they also provide data here. And we can see at the moment, and anyone can go to this website. Oh, I'm going to zoom in the wrong way. We can actually see at the moment there's a storm going through Italy when this loads up. Yeah. If you go up to our stand as well, you'll see that we're tracking lightning that's happening all around the world. There's about 3 million strikes a day on planet Earth. It's about somewhere between 15 and 40 strikes a second. And there's always lightning going on somewhere around the world. And you can track that yourself. This lightningmaps.org, they have an app. And this app will message you when lightning's nearby. So you can see the storms coming in. I have to go back to, I've dropped out of my presentation. Yeah. So there is always lightning going on. And you can also go, oh yes, and then it's mostly around the equator, and it is mostly linked to hot weather. And we kind of experienced this last week. We had quite extreme temperatures, and then we had quite violent thunderstorms that followed. And this is a map of where lightning is distributed through the world, where the red is the most intense lightning, and the white, there's no real lightning. So you can kind of see the further north you go, or the further south you go, the less lightning you have. And there's no real lightning at the poles, although they have started picking up some lightning, and that's kind of to do with a bit of climate change and global warming. But most aggressive storms and most lightning happens in coastal regions around the equator. But there are things called superbolts, and superbolts are particularly rare and very energetic lightning bolts, and they follow a completely different pattern. And people don't really know why this pattern is, but they mostly are around the UK and the Mediterranean. And there's various reasons or theories around this. Some people think it's to do with, or the leading theory, I should say, is to do with pollution from shipping, because that puts sulfates into the atmosphere. but this was a 10-year study some years ago. I think it was 2010 to 2019. So this was relatively recently discovered, and it's quite unusual. So lightning over the land has one kind of pattern, and over the sea has a different pattern, and we don't really understand this pattern over the sea very well, and it is particularly energetic bolts that just live over the sea. But also, there's other phenomena that live up high in the atmosphere, and if you go up to our stand, we can talk a bit more about this. There were only recently, most of them were discovered in the 90s and the 2000s. There's a very good photographer out in the US who lives in Oklahoma. He's actually a British guy, but he's got a very good YouTube channel on some of these. I'm going to show you a video he has done just to show you a type of lightning phenomena called sprites that were discovered in the 90s from space shuttle flights. And I'm not going to really say much about them, but you will see them, and then there'll be a slow motion video of these. Turn the volume down. If you look in the top right, in a minute, you will see these sprites appear. And you see them up in the right-hand side here. Now, this is a kind of above cloud lightning. There's other types of lightning that have been discovered in the last 20 years or so that kind of exist above the clouds. There's things called jets. They kind of ran out of names because they've got ghosts and sprites and trolls and pixies, elves, all sorts of things. They kind of went down the kind of mystic route and things. But there's a whole load of these phenomena that live above clouds, and they're generally too fast for the human eye, which is why we've never been able to see them before. But since camera technology has developed, and sprites, although they were theorized back in the 1900s, they were found by cameras on space shuttles going up into space in the 90s. So I thought I'd talk about those. You can go to his website and you can see some more of these phenomena. This is a kind of a family tree of lightning that NASA has put out, although it's already out of date. The one we have upstairs is a bit newer, because since this was put out 2 or 3 years ago, they actually discovered a few more things, including ghosts, which sit on top of red sprites, and they're green in color. Just to give you an idea of 20, 30 years ago, lightning just used to mean the one thing that you saw between the cloud and the ground, or the cloud and the cloud, but it's just become, in the last 10, 20 years, it encompasses a whole range of electrical atmospheric phenomena. It is a little bit worrying that this comes from NASA, because they've put the moon at 50 kilometers, which is a little bit close, but it is further away. But yeah, you can go upstairs, and we've got a more modern version of this, which is a bit better to scale. You can see all the things that have been discovered recently, and we can talk to you a bit about this. So the higher they are, the weaker they are, and the less kind of risk they are. But things like jets are a bit of an issue, and they can kind of impact climate. And you do see these from the International Space Station. So we do have a video here from NASA where you can see a thunderstorm as the International Space Station goes over. The lightning is very pretty up from space. And there are sprites in this, but they're so fast you probably won't see them. But this is what thunderstorms look like as you're flying over in the International Space Station. Yeah, and if we go here, we can just see you maybe can't quite see, it's maybe a bit too light in here, but you can just about see in one frame, they captured some sprites just above the clouds, but they are very fast. And upstairs, we have some very good pictures of sprites and jets that have kind of gone up from the International Space Station. Oh, yes, here's another very good picture of some sprites. I think we have this one upstairs. Anyway, so who are we? That's kind of a very quick tour of lightning in nature. We're all from Cardiff University. This is the very pretty building in the middle of Cardiff, where we're from. And we are lightning research scientists, but we don't really go out much. They don't let us go out much. We've built a lightning generator in the university, and we make our own lightning. But they wouldn't let us build it in the main building or anywhere near students. or anyone else. So they've put us in an industrial unit down here, in this little unit, kind of unsuspecting little unit here. We are next door to some accountants who live here in this unit. Up here, this building is where they film Doctor Who. And over here is where they brew Brains beer. So we're kind of in a good place, but they wanted us out of the way. So yeah, we're down in our own little industrial unit. And this is a picture of the lightning generator, and you can see this upstairs. But for those of you who've come here, we've got a few little videos and things, and I'm going to walk you through what we've got a short video of how we make lightning. I hope we do have volume working on this, but I'll put the volume up. And it's me from a few years ago. Oh, this is a lightning arc in our rig. And there will be some sirens and things, I'll warn you. So we're going to put some lightning through this wire. This is just to give you an idea of how we run this. So all the lightning is going to happen behind this wall. It's a very dangerous and explosive thing. You will hear a bang, which is the thunder. It actually is very quick to charge. So we're doing about 3 times your average strike here. And there will be a countdown. We have a green, don't press the red button, but the green one. The red one switches it all off. And then you get countdown. 2, 1. So that's what our lightning generator makes. That is the thunder. Occasionally we have fires. This big system here, which is just pulling out all the smoke in the room, that wire is no more. It's gone. That's kind of like how we run our lightning generator at the Lightning Lab. We do worst case strikes. So as you might remember from the very beginning that we were, just pause this. We don't want to go through it again. Oh yeah, we're going to National Grid next. But just before we go to National Grid, average lightning strike is 30,000 amps. Your domestic supply is 13 amps. Is it enough to give you a pretty nasty shock? 30,000 amps is a very destructive, powerful amount of energy. We go up to 220,000 amps. We do just on the edge of superbolts. The arc you just saw is a kind of a standard run arc that we do for lightning testing. When we run our generator up to 220,000 amps, the whole building resonates and shakes. The accountants get a bit angry next door. So we don't run it at the full energy very much. It also kind of does a little bit of damage to our systems. But yeah, and the bang you heard, that is the thunder. But because we're making very short arcs, we're not making 10, 15 kilometer long arcs, you hear it as a single bang. When we're doing it with the top energy, you have to wear ear defenders and things. It's very loud. So why do we do this? One reason is for power, to protect power systems, and National Grid, who is just over the road down here somewhere. We've done a huge amount of work with National Grid, making sure that when power lines get struck, your power in your house doesn't go out, or the local hospital or anything. You see many of these around, these pylons, and you probably don't realize that that top wire there is its lightning protection system. So when lightning comes down, it will connect with this wire on top first, and that wire is grounded rather than connecting to these power lines down here. So that's its first kind of line of defense. If it does connect to these power lines, it'll take the lightning through to a substation, and it kind of gets dealt with there. So we've done a lot of work on these cables. We've got some of these cables upstairs in our exhibition. But we have done work on what's called the new T pylons. And if you're down around Bristol Way, these are all, there's a run of these installed just along the M5 as you head down from Bristol for quite a few miles. The idea is that this new design, which was designed by an architect, is less kind of visible and less impacting on the environment than these ones, which are a lot taller. And once it was designed, we had to come in, because architects know nothing about electricity, we had to come in and make sure that these could carry the power correctly and could deal with things like lightning strikes, and people on the ground would be safe. But these ones have 2 lightning lines on them to protect them, one on each side. So we did a lot of work on these. And if you go down M5, if you're down that way, you will see these pylons along the M5. going down, but you will see them in the next 10, 15 years. They'll be appearing in the UK. We are going to, we've also done, let me click through. We've also done a lot of work with aerospace, and probably most of our work has been done on aircraft, and it's very important for aircraft to stay safe when being struck. And I'm going to show you a video. If anyone's scared of flying, I mean, the plane is safe, I should say, up front. It's a bit of a spoiler, but do look away. But this is a very famous video that was taken of a Boeing 747, which is the one with the hump, the big Boeing, in Japan. And you will see shortly that it's, when I switch through to the video, that it was struck by lightning. So if you just watch it being taking off from this airport, and at some point, it'll be struck by quite a powerful bolt of lightning. Let's qualify a famous video, and then it'll do a slow motion of that strike. Now, planes are safe. We've got 2 strikes here. That's the first one, and that's the second one. So, many of you are not going to fly now, are you? Yeah. So planes, they actually induce lightning. They're metal objects that are sitting between clouds and ground. And this plane is a metal plane from 10, 15 years ago. Metal planes, it wasn't an issue. And metals conduct, and when planes are in flight, the lightning is just going through it on its way down to ground, as you saw here. This one, it went in the nose, out the tail, and even though you would have heard a bang and you would have seen a flash, it continued flying. And all these commercial airliners, they're designed to withstand this. A lot of aircraft went to composite materials about 10, 15 years ago, and we did a huge amount of work on making sure that the new composite aircraft was safe, particularly for Airbus aircraft that are flying now. So probably most of our work in the Lightning Lab has been making sure that aeroplanes, the aeroplane that you fly in on holiday, is safe when being struck. A commercial airliner like this will be struck on average about once a year, even though they do try to avoid storms and they won't take off or land in storms, but they still get struck. So you have to make sure that that system and those aircraft are safe. And yeah, we've got some materials and things upstairs that you can see. Oh, I need to click out of this. And this is just an example in the Lightning Lab with our model aeroplane. Our model aeroplane is upstairs as well. Same kind of lightning strike. It's that strike that you saw before, and we're just striking it through a metal aeroplane. And that aeroplane that we've probably struck now about 50 times, and it's still there upstairs in one piece, although one of the engines has fallen off, but that's us, not the lightning. We don't necessarily pack it very well when we go places. So ignore the engine that's fallen off. But yeah, you can go and look at that plane, and you can see that it's not damaged. I mean, it is a metal one, but you can talk to us about how that kind of works. The other important thing, oh, no, I want to go back to here. So that's kind of all the built environment, but there are other important things that kind of exist in the natural world. So here we're in Australia, in the Blue Mountains. This is just outside Sydney, and this is a eucalyptus forest, and it looks very pretty if you've ever been there, but sometimes it looks like this. Because of lightning-initiated wildfires. And it's not just a problem in Australia, but you've probably seen on the news every year that there are big, uncontrolled wildfires. And lightning is probably only about, probably worldwide, 20 to 25% of wildfires are started by lightning, the rest being man-made. But they are responsible, they burn about 8 to 10 times more land than a man-made fire will, because they start in remote regions that people can't get to, and it can take a day or two to find them, by which point they're out of control. So it is a big problem. It's an increasing problem with climate change. There are areas in the last 10 years that have seen rapid increase in lightning-initiated wildfires just over a 10-year period. especially in places like North Canada and northern Russia, in those remote forests up around there. So we've done a little bit of work on trees and wildfires. Well, and more so on how trees respond to lightning. And this is a tree we struck about 10 years ago now. We were trying to start a fire, and we did start a fire in our lab. We did put it out as well. But this is a tree that we struck, eucalyptus tree, in our lab. We struck that tree 3 times, and each strike was 3 times your average lightning strike energy. So I guess it's maybe about 9 or 10 times it's been struck, kind of comparatively. This tree, which looks very pretty there with the lightning going through it, lived. And it lived in my garden for 4 years, and then the snow killed it. And I wasn't very happy. I'm not very good at looking after trees. So this tree, it was kind of lived, and it had some very nice scars, and I used to take it on my little talks with me to show how lightning kind of doesn't do what you think it should do, and how kind of we don't really understand how lightning and trees and things like this respond. But sadly, this tree died. So we did it again. We found another tree, and that tree is up on our exhibition. We struck that one 4 times. We struck it 3 times in May, and then we were bored in June, so we struck it again. And you can, if you go up and see that tree, there are videos of that tree upstairs. There's also a full-size printout of the arc going through it. And if you go look at that tree closely, you'll see the scars starting to form on that tree where you got the arc that was running through. But it is important to try and understand these mechanisms, because it's not really well known how lightning and trees interact and how they burn or don't burn, or which lightning strikes will cause fires, which trees burn, what the weather conditions are, and so on. We did do quite a large project, which finished a year or so ago. It was kind of during COVID, really. And we had a research site out here in Ghana, and we had another research site out in Nigeria. These 2 forest sites, and they are a very different type of site. They have these nice big trees. It's rainforests, so they don't burn. And we worked with some locals here. I just have a video, I think, of some people. Yeah, we did a project. We trained up some people here. These people are doing ground resistivity measurements. They're just looking at how resistive the soil is. And we were fitting some devices to trees to... so they're measuring trees here, and we were fitting some devices here to kind of figure out whether the tree was struck or not, because it's really hard to predict where lightning will strike and what tree it will hit, especially in a forest where there are many, many trees. So these people here, they were installing some devices and fitting these to trees, measuring up these trees. We made a device in the lightning laboratory. We had a kind of a brief, which was... we want to put a tree on a device. We want to be able to measure what the lightning energy is that goes through the tree. And we want to make sure, well, yes, something that can say this tree was struck and this is what the energy was. But it can't run off any power. It can't have anything valuable in it because it will get stolen. It can't be colorful because the monkeys will take it. Can't be hollow because the scorpions will nest in it. And we had the most strangest brief of engineering kind of thing to build. And it also had to be cheap because we had to make 8,000 of them, which we made the locals do. But if you go upstairs and you'll talk to us, you will see that we did make a lightning detector that meets all of that criteria. It doesn't require any power. It's made out of actual bits of tubing and cable ties and things like this. And it will actually tell you whether that tree was struck and whether it was struck with a low, medium, or high lightning strike. We ran this project. We had trees monitored for about two or 3 years. We had 8,000 devices. We're currently monitoring 25 trees that we know were struck, and we kind of monitor them for the next 10 years or so to see whether they live or die or how they responded. And we're hoping to take some of that technology in a future project to look at wildfires. So yeah, just some interesting stuff. So this is out in Florida. This is where we're hoping to go. We haven't quite got the funding for it yet, but these are some trees. We were out there a year or two ago looking at some trees that have been burnt, and we want to bring that technology to this Florida site to look at wildfires in Florida. So yeah, this is bringing you back to the Royal Society. That was just a very brief kind of whistle-stop tour of various lightning kind of facts and figures and kind of why it's important to us, both for natural environment and the built environment. So I hope you enjoyed it.